Hey, what up, Internet? You know who it is. It's your boy, Gadget Guy, and as most of you know by now, I'm a pretty serious semi-pro, enthusiast, amateur photographer. Maybe y'all don't know, I almost booked a gig last week. It was pretty hot. And there's nothing that can... Oh wait, I should take out the lens cover there. And there's nothing that can beat the tasty, delicious bokeh coming off some proper glass on a real camera. So as how I roll, I'm a natural light, never use the flash, crank the ISO hipster douchebag. And we all know that the blur on smartphones all suck and they can't be as good as real glass. So here's a showdown to show you how much these four phones suck at taking bokeh-tastic pictures. Whew, that's better. But seriously, folks, we are gonna take a quick look at software blur. We've got two phones, which use a single sensor and enhanced software to blur the backgrounds of your photos. And we've got two phones, which utilize additional depth information from multiple camera sensors to try and recreate the look of a proper DSLR. While I am actually kind of a natural light prime lens snob when it comes to my proper cameras, it's not difficult to see the vast improvements to software image processing on our phones. We're far removed from the days of those terrible circle blur filters on Instagram. So for this list, ranked entirely subjectively by my eye, we're starting off at number 4 with the Google Pixel. Google's process for creating software blur involves the user focusing on a subject and after hitting the shutter button, tilting the camera vertically, which kind of makes sense. If your subject is significantly closer than the rest of your background, then the software should be able to see bigger differences farther away from the lens. So why does the Pixel suck for creating background blur? Well, introducing that movement does make this process a bit less consistent. The Pixel processes images ridiculously fast, but introducing that tilt means there's a greater likelihood that the phone's gonna misread the scene or that there will be some introduction of hand movement blur in the shot, especially in lower light conditions. At number 3, the Galaxy S7. Also a single sensor phone, Samsung's solution doesn't involve any movement, so that's a positive. But to create a blurrier background, Samsung's camera app scans through the entire focus range of the phone when you use that selective focus feature. What's cool is this provides a little extra flexibility in post where you can have your subject in focus, the background in focus, or the entire shot in focus, which is actually pretty sweet. So why does the Galaxy S7 suck? Well, the downside here is the extra time spent capturing the shot. The user has to hold still, and the onboard optical image stabilization should do a pretty decent job of minimizing any handshake. But if your subject is moving at all, well, there's not really much you can do to salvage that shot. At number 2, and moving up to dual sensor phones, we've got the iPhone 7 Plus. Now, portrait mode on the iPhone actually uses the zoom lens to really create that nicely separated subject from background look. And Apple delivers the most streamlined approach to creating a blurry background photo. Slide into portrait mode, line up your subject, and the effect should just pop into place when you've met the right criteria. Not a lot you can do in post, but Apple will save a normal version of the photo and a photo with that blur effect in place. So why does the iPhone 7 Plus suck? Well, with this experience being so on the rails, you're pretty much at the mercy of Apple's camera app. Not enough light in your shot? No blur. Too close or too far? No blur. And relying on the zoom lens means some folks won't have arms long enough to take a rear camera selfie while utilizing the system. And at number 1, we've got Huawei and Honor. All right, this is kind of a cheat as we're highlighting the entire range of Huawei phones from the 6X to the Mate 9, but using two sensors with matched focal length lenses really does create the most flexible system for dialing in the amount of software blur we'd want to see in the background. In operation from your main composition window, you hit one little icon, and then you just kind of shoot how you normally would in any other auto mode. Then when looking back at your photos, you can dial in the amount of blur you'd like to see with this handy little slider which tries to emulate the aperture that we'd see on a DSLR. Once you've got it where you want it, the phone saves a new copy of that photo, leaving the original intact if you decide you want to edit it again in the future. So why does the Mate 9 suck? Well, like most things on the Huawei camera app, it really does involve just a little bit more user participation than some of the other systems we've taken a look at. You kinda do need to play around with it just a little bit more, but at least having finer control means we should be able to achieve that happy balance between your subject popping off the background and not having too much of that really fake looking software blur degrading your shot. It's still totally true that a camera with a larger sensor and good glass will still win out over smartphones with multiple sensors or software tricks. But I wouldn't be so quick to write off software blur on any of these platforms. Once you understand the strengths and weaknesses that each phone has to provide, I think you're likely to find you can capture some really interesting images. And if you've been playing around with the blur features on your smartphone, drop us a link down below this video. What do you like? What don't you like? I'd love to get into an exchange of people creating content. That kind of stuff I think is fun. As always, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more rambling, vloggy videos like these, and help us out with some sharing on your favorite social networks. For Pocket Now, I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell, some gadget guy on Twitter and Instagram, and I will catch you all on the next video.
Bokeh.